Hello, and welcome back to Consordini.com. I'm Justin Leopard with another cello lesson for you guys here today. And today I want to talk about something that might seem a little bit daunting at first, but honestly it's one of my most favorite things to do with cello, and that is thumb position. So when we first start out learning our fingerings, we just start learning, with the non-thumb fingers, and the thumb is behind those fingers. But that can be very limiting. On a violin, there's enough space that they can actually use their fourth finger where we would otherwise have to shift up to go, But we can't do that without shifting. It's very, very awkward. So especially as we're playing higher up on the instrument, sometimes we use a technique where the thumb acts as sort of a capo like on a guitar and resets the open string. So we're able to use the same fingerings and what's very convenient, and most people start at this place, is that if you put the thumb at the octave harmonic halfway up the string, you're getting the same notes for the same fingerings, roughly, just up an octave. So that's a very convenient place to start. If you've already been practicing, then it's pretty easy to go. Okay, but you might have noticed one thing that's different about the fingerings, which is that I'm doing this more violinistic fingering. Is violinistic a word? Anyways, so down here we do 4-3-1 open, but up here, because there's a different angle, we do 3-2-1. So it's 3 instead of 4, 2 instead of 3, and then 1 and open are the same. So you can actually practice this by angling your elbow a little bit more and trying the same fingering down here first, and then that'll allow you, when you go back up, to be able to have a greater sense of what's going on. And the other thing that's really nice about this is that as you're still building strength in your thumb, because you're going to have to develop some amount of callus just to be able to have the string in your thumb, it's nice to start at the harmonic, because on a harmonic, you only have to touch lightly to get the note to sound. You don't have to press down. But we are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about everything with thumb position. So the first thing that you need to consider with thumb position is that you're bringing your hand in a little bit. If your wrist is completely perfectly straight, you're not going to have a lot of strength in your thumb. And one of the worst feelings is when you're really, really tired and you're trying to get some thumb position thing out, and you're like pressing your hand down like this, just trying to get any amount of pressure in the string. So we don't really want that exactly. We want something where the thumb has a little bit of springiness from the wrist going into the hand, just like any other note that we like to play. And as far as contact points on the thumb, it might be tempting to use the natural crease in the thumb as one of the points for the thumb on the string. But in my experience, that's very risky, because if you're doing a lot of thumb position, you can actually cause your thumb to bleed if you haven't developed the calluses right yet. And that's already more of a sensitive area. So the spot that I like to use is there's a little kind of notch on your thumb, like right at the bottom of the nail, but on the side. And that's where I like to put the lower string, so that the upper string is not quite as far as that, but it's just somewhere in the thumb that's a place where you're able to develop a callus. So the other thing that you're going to find as you start to play is that the tuning of the notes might end up being, the tuning of the notes might end up being a little bit difficult. You might at first, but this is a good opportunity to practice really tuning your fifths. If you watched our video on intonation, you know fifths can be a little bit tricky to tune, whether you're doing equal temperament or whether you're tuning to the harmonic series. So just like we take our time with the open strings when we're learning to tune them, we can take our time getting to know the thumb fifth basic position. And we can also take time to just learn what some of the different hand positions feel like. I learned to think about them as shapes. So let's back up for a second. Let's start by putting thumb here where I just had it. And if we're in sort of a major key, then the fingerings are, which are the same fingerings as open 1, 3, 4, but we're doing it with our special thumb fingering. So with this sort of shape, There's a half step between the second and third finger, and a whole step between both the first and second finger and the thumb and the first finger. So you can kind of picture this as a shape that's kind of like a T, where a thinner bit is the half step, and then there's larger blocks that are the whole step. You can use this same method of visualizing the spaces between the notes to be able to get this shape, for example, the minor shape, where the thin slit is in the middle, and you have your whole steps on either side. And then, of course, you also have, which if you just play that, that's not typically considered a scale. It would be something like Phrygian or some sort of altered so that it has the flat 9. Okay, so let's start with what is probably going to feel like the easiest to start with at this point, which is that octave harmonic. And the one thing that can be a little bit tricky about the octave harmonic is that when you're playing the harmonic and you want the harmonic to speak well, your thumb's actually a little bit sharp of the position that it would be in if you press down. So it is good to just practice also putting your fingers down, but having the harmonic is a great reference point to quickly find notes when you don't have the muscle memory yet for what all these different positions are. You will eventually, though. Keep practicing. So the main things you're going to have to practice are the contact point with the thumb, the different style of fingering where we're angling a little bit more and we're playing open 1, 2, 3. And the final component is that because we're playing higher up on the instrument, we've shortened the string when we play higher up on the instrument, and so everything has to move, including the bow, proportionally. If the bow's here on an open string, it's going to have to be halfway further up when you're playing on the harmonic for it to speak with as good of a tone. So with those three perspectives or vectors in mind, the thumb position, the slightly different fingering, and playing slightly higher up, I say that you should start having fun playing things that you practice in open strings with thumb position and try to play with different thumbs. You're going to find that this is, once you get used to it, very, very easy because it's the same fingering. The only difference is that because you're at a slightly different position on the string, it's a little bit of a different distance between the notes. But just sit in one position for a while, try to get comfortable, try to get in tune, play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, play whatever you want to play, knowing that it'll be a little bit different, but it'll get you comfortable with thumb position. At this stage in my life, especially as an improviser, thumb position is indispensable. If you start playing some solo repertoire, you absolutely have to use it for certain patterns and in order to be able to do certain double stops. And when you're improvising, it's so convenient to be able to just pull the idea with the fingering that you know how to use and move it to the different key by using thumb position, or move it higher up on the cello by using thumb position. So it's actually a really cool and awesome technique. It can just be a little bit scary at first because intonation's already so hard on the instrument, and this is just adding another layer to that. But just have fun with it and treat it as a different way of playing all of your open string favorite things to play, whatever you're working on right now. I hope this video has been a useful introduction for thumb position. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you're having a good time practicing cello and learning along with us with all of these lessons. Let us know in the comments if you have any other questions or what you think about these lessons. Once again, I'm Justin Leopard with Consordini.com, and we'll see you next time.